So let's talk about universal basic income, AI, and how all of that connects to the Bible. And the question on the table is, are you for universal basic income or are you against it? But let's dive into it. So it's June 30th, 2025, and President Trump makes this post on Truth Social, and he says, Jerome too late Powell, and he goes on and starts continuing on. But I want you to pay attention to what he refers to him. He refers to him as too late, too late, too late. And then over here you have the handwritten note that he writes to them. So here's a little bit of a closer look to what he wrote Jerome Powell, but he refers to him as being too late. Now, when somebody says you are too late, that makes you feel like whatever you were about to do, it is now no longer able to be done because you are too late. And so when he's talking about Jerome being too late, and you see that this is all about the central bank, the world central bank, and you see down here how United States of America, we got 4.5% interest, he's telling Jerome that whatever he was going to do is now too late. And so this opens the conversation for universal basic income. And so again, the question on the table is, are you for universal basic income or are you against it? Let's dive into it. But one of the questions on the table is, how and why would we need universal basic income? Well, if you remember what Mr. Musk said a couple years ago, back in 2022, he made the statement, he said there will likely be a humanoid robot in every home by 2050. Now, in my opinion, 2050 is being extremely generous. I think that we are 40 years past that. I think we're growing so fast that it's unbelievable. And so when you start thinking about a universal basic income, the question is, why would we need that? Well, one of the answers to that question is to first recognize that robots and AI are growing exponentially. And so when you see that they are starting to replace human jobs, you start to see a little bit more of an understanding as to why people talk about a universal basic income. And it's because AI is now able to do so many things at a cheaper level than what they would have to pay humans. And so it's just natural for huge companies to get more away from humans and to go more towards AI in any area that they can, because if they do not, then they are going to start losing money, whereas the competition that they are going up against is going to be saving money and then using that money to be doing other things and be, more of a competitor. And so this is the whole idea where you have robots telling humans to leave. That's where it seems like this could be going. And then here in this graph, you see that the cost of waiting, and you have blue and red. And blue means that the companies who do not wait, that they are going to be growing, and the companies who do wait by incorporating AI into their companies, they are going to be declining. So you have two options, one to choose. You can incorporate AI and then you will be growing, or you can refuse and wait and then you will be declining. And this is all about 2025. You also have this article, 39 pages, where there's 2,700 AI authors who basically agree on one thing, and they are saying by the year 2100, every single human job that is in existence right now is going to be replaced by AI. It is going to be an automated world. And so if you imagine a world where every single job that we have right now is going to cease to exist, it seems like something out of a science fiction movie, right? Like we've all seen iRobot, we've seen what's going on there, just robots walking around in the street and nobody even, blinks an eye. But that seems to be where these AI authors all land on. 2,700 AI authors are saying that. And there's a whole bunch of people at big names in the world who also agree as well. So that brings us to what this post was back in February, and this is what President Trump brought into. This was an executive order, and it is a plan for establishing a United States sovereign wealth fund. So you have the sovereign wealth fund that President Trump flung into existence, and let's talk about that. Now, if you actually dive into the Sovereign Wealth Fund, you won't see anything that directly connects to universal basic income, but it could be the foundation for it. And so that's what's so interesting about this whole situation. If this sovereign wealth fund that he is enacting in our world today becomes something a little bit more politically backed by both sides of the aisle, it can very easily become a universal basic income. Now, a universal basic income might sound like a far-fetched idea because it just seems so way out there and very bizarre, but I need you to understand that there's already something here in America that is already very similar to it, is just on a smaller scale compared to universal. It's this Alaska. It's called Alaska Permanent Fund Corporation. Here it says investing for Alaska, investing for the long run. So the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend paid its residents $1,700 in 2024. This amount included a standard payment of $1,400 and a one-time energy payment relief of $298. And it goes on and it says over 600,000 Alaskans were eligible for this year's distribution. It says the 2024 permanent fund dividend was $390 higher than the 2023 payout, indicating a larger stimulus effect. So this Alaska Permanent Fund was established in 1976. Its source of wealth is its oil revenues, and it's got a fund size of $80 billion as of 2024. And basically how it works is a portion of oil revenue goes into the fund. Annual dividends are paid to every eligible Alaskan resident. And so basically they are pooling from their assets, and their assets in regards to Alaska, their assets is their oil. And so what the idea is as far as a universal basic income is that we would put our assets on the line. And then if we did that with all of the things that we have at our disposal here in America, then we too would be able to do something that Alaska is already doing. And I think it's absolutely wild because you and I are living in this time period where there is an explosion of AI that is happening at a very rapid pace. For example, Grok 4 AI is going to be released just after July 4th. And so you see how quickly it is getting better, it is getting better, it is getting better, and faster and faster and faster. And so they projected that we would have every job in existence being completely taken over by 2100. But it seems that they also concluded that at the rate of how fast AI is growing, that the 2100, we seem to be 40 years ahead of schedule. And so with that understanding, you're just like, okay, well, now this seems to be a little bit more of a reality. And so if you guys remember the post not too long ago, but Elon Musk made a statement saying that he's going to be creating legions of robots, and they are going to be in everybody's houses, and it's just going to be a normal thing. But I need you to remember that the world's most advanced AI models are exhibiting troubling new behaviors like lying and scheming and even threatening their creators to achieve their goals. And so this cannot be trusted. And so we obviously know that, but there's a lot of people who are just all in on this AI stuff. And we do not see the danger, or many of us fail to see the danger of what is lurking behind the corner. And so again, are you for UBI, Universal Basic Income, or are you against it? Now, what's interesting about that is that there are many people who are for it because they will not work. They'll just have money being given to them, and then they can go out and do whatever they want to. But we need to remember what is said back in Genesis chapter 3 when God places a curse on Adam. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 17, he's talking to Adam. He says, "You shall not eat of it." And then he says, "Cursed is the ground for your sake." I want you to just think about that for a second. God says, "Cursed is the ground for your sake." He's not saying, "Hey, Adam, cursed is the ground for my sake or for anybody else's sake." It's cursed is the ground for your sake, for your sake, for your sake. Because when a man is working, they are doing something. And when they are doing something, their brain is focused on that one thing. That's just how us guys operate. And so I want you to imagine a whole bunch of dudes hanging around, not working. And if there's a whole bunch of people that are just hanging around, not doing a single thing, there's going to be an abundance of idleness, which was the sin or the iniquity of Sodom. They had an abundance of idleness. And if you have abundance of idleness, you are going to get into trouble a lot more than what you would have if you were actually working and focusing on something. And so this whole concept of universal basic income and what could be coming up within the next couple of years, I am just blown away by this. But let me know what you guys think about this, because I think this is incredible, or at least something to entertain in your mind.